Well, so when was your first marriage? When did you first get married?
Oh my God. I was so young. 22.
I was 22 with my first marriage.
And he was younger.
My only marriage. But he was younger?
He was
I was
younger.
younger.
Yeah, he was 21. I was 22. It was my brilliant idea. I'm the one that proposed. Oh my stinking gosh. Of course, I was the one that exited too, but whatever.
When did you feel like that was going south?
I suspected along the way that I got married for the wrong reasons, and but I was also raised.
What were those reasons?
Oh my God, I was such a poser at 22. Like, this sounds like a great idea. Let's do this. And then since I signed up for it, you make that bed, you got to live in it. It was that. And, you know, again, it goes back to cultural norms. You said you're going to get married, and I got married in the Catholic Church. You can't, there's no such thing as divorce in the Philippines still. There's 2 countries left.
It doesn't even exist.
No. Every time I go home, my Philippine passport, because I'm dual citizen, still has my original married name. They will never shed it. He would have to die.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's so crazy. But
okay. So that divorce literally does not exist in that culture.
Correct. But yeah, that marriage lasted a few months shy of 10 years.
Damn.
And at the 5th year, I remember there was a bump, a pretty big bump, and I worked my way through it. Another bump at 7, and at the last year, I'm like, I was done.
Was there general happiness up to that 5th year, or was it issues throughout? You were just kind of working through it.
My vague recollection of that chapter in my life is that I was just working my way through it.
Yeah. Marriage is a fascinating subject to me because in doing the research for this book, I realized very quickly the data pointed me to, we look for the exact same things in friendship and in marriage. And that was the entire premise of the book. It's like, you look for the exact same things. The only difference being is that we're adding romance and additional intensity, intimacy and additional intensity into a romantic relationship. But your close, lifelong friends are probably going to be people that are very similar to the person that you choose to spend the rest of your life with. But what's fascinating is, 1, we don't understand this. 2, we get into these marriages with people that, like, fundamentally we're just not right together. And then we use all of our social and cultural programming to be like, this is created by God. I must stay in this. I must fix this. I must this. I can't do this. I can't get divorced. I made my bed. I must. And we are socially and culturally reinforced to just sit there and try to fix something that's inherently broken.
Okay, let's talk about fixing and breaking and how I'm a solver, right? That first guy was a project. Like, I literally saw that he was broken, and I felt like I could be the fix, the glue.
I would argue you've had a few of those.
Yes. That first one, though, was like...
like legit fixer?
That was legit, yeah.
You got the 1,000-piece model from the store, and you're just one by one gluing them together?
Oh, my God. His sister couldn't understand why I left, and then a few years later, she messaged me, and she goes, okay, I get it now.
I had served in some fairly high positions at the church, and it blew me away the questions that I would get asked. Like, instead of supporting both people, there were a few that tried to be supportive of both people. Most, however, were looking for who was to blame. And I had people coming up to me like, what did you do? Mm-hmm. What did you do?
And you're the one they blame first because you're the guy.
My own, like the person that was right above me in my calling. I'm not going to say what specific role it was because you would be able to work your way back and figure out who. But I was in a very high up position, and I'd been serving under his direction for years. And he came up to me and he goes, be honest with me. You cheated, didn't you?
Oh, my God.
And I was like, what in the world? You think that I'm coming to church and doing all these things that I'm doing and volunteering and doing all, and you think I'm just like two-faced and living a lie? I was like, I thought you knew who I was at this point. And he's like, it's okay, you can be honest. And I walk him through this story, and he goes, so you're telling me you didn't cheat? And I was like, no, And he goes, every guy I know would have cheated under those circumstances. And I was like, are you kidding me?
I was going to say,
Like-
there's a point of reference, Pi.
What's that?
I mean, for him to ask that question means that it's feasible because there's a precedent for it.
That's what he's seen and experienced.
Yeah.
Maybe. I guess for me, I've stopped trying to explain other people's values based on the way that I see the world.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I could never understand is, why do you solve one problem by creating another? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you have a problem inside the marriage. You don't fix that problem by going out and starting another problem.
I would argue that they probably didn't see it that way. It's called escaping.
That's why I try to explain it, because I don't understand that mentality. You know that. Like, you trying to explain somebody's behavior based on your set of values when theirs completely differs is impossible.
Yes.
You just sit there and go, I don't get it. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? I don't understand. Why
Oh
why
my
would they
God,
do
I
that?
spent so much time trying to understand, though.
No point.
I think there is a point. That's how I got here to where I am right now, completely content, regardless of what goes on around me.
Okay, tell me.
So let's take that concept of infidelity, which is where my journey of being empathetic started, right? My dad had a lot of affairs, a
Okay.
lot. Gosh, there's still people that find me on Facebook that I worry. Are you a sister
Like,
or a brother?
are we related?
Something like that, or they were my dad's girlfriend or whatever. My dad's passed away already, but yeah, frick, if somebody pinged me on Facebook, I'm like, oh crap, who are you? So
Wow.
infidelity was a constant story in my family's journey.
Once again, more okay to be.
Yes, than to be well.
Than to
First
be
of all, you
divorced.
can't
It's not
get
possible.
divorced.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you just have affairs.
So you work through it.
Work through affairs.
Yes. So you work through them. So it's not an uncommon story for us. And I was angry for a really long time. And there was one point where when my parents finally got divorced, because we were here in this country where they allow it, my dad tried to justify it to me. And he said, well, your mom didn't put out. That's why I went out. I was mind blown. I didn't ask for the reason. I was angry because I'm my mother's daughter. I watched the pain. I watched the evolution in my family, like all those reasons, right? And I couldn't accept it. And all he did was fuel the anger. It took me watching people that I care about around me struggle with their own relationships and make mistakes or be distracted by other people and either step wholly into infidelity themselves, either with their girlfriend or their, in their marriage, or to even traipse around it, to start softening my thoughts about it, right? Because these are people that I know, that I care about, that I understood that action didn't change who they were for me. It changed for who they were with their relationship and where they were going to cause pain. So there's that. And then to have experienced it myself and now put myself in the position of, how do I understand how this happened? And then I started arriving to, okay, well, that's interesting. Because when my dad finally got divorced with my mom and he was considering marrying again, one of our conversations was, Dad, are you sure you can do this and get married again? I feel like you're not wired for it. Why don't you just find somebody who's okay with you having many relationships? Or maybe, don't get married. But he himself was raised by a traditional mindset of, you have to get married. Or you have to pair up with somebody and shackle yourself to that concept. He was so bought in, he couldn't think of any other alternative, which is sad